martial law. And oh dare, you know, I would call it the rise and fall of martial law, but how Tekken Broke the Law is a much catchier title, right? Before I go into this man's backstory, I'll tell you a story of my own. The first time I ever played Tekken as a kid, I stumbled into some random arcade and bumped into the Tekken machine. And as I'm looking at this character selection screen, I'm like, whoa, what a weird selection of characters. You had Paul with a weird haircut, King, who at the time I literally thought was an actual Jaguar man. So yeah, the only character from there that I thought looked decent that I would pick was, guess who? Martial Law. And why? Because the man looked like Bruce Lee. I was a huge martial art movie head. Of course I'm gonna pick Bruce Lee. Of course I'm gonna pick martial law. So the first character I ever picked in Tekken was martial law. The reason I got into Tekken was martial law. Back then you didn't even know the moves. People were out there bashing buttons, randomly pressing shit, and done this spectacular grab, and to this day that is one of the best grabs in a fighting game, period. The audacity of this man to do that, literally walk up on a man and do a body press, that was incredible. I was sold on Tekken because of martial law. Imagine that. And for the most part, move wise, Law is a monster. Gameplay wise, Law has always been a monster. Looks like Bruce Lee has the sounds down, the moves down, everything. The only problem with this character is the goddamn writing. It is dreadful. Let's take a look at Martial Law's story. Tekken 1. Martial Law is working in a restaurant, but he wants to own his own dojo. He has dreams to own his own dojo. Essentially, Bruce Lee's actual story. You've seen Dragon, the Bruce Lee story, right? So that's the exact story of Bruce Lee. He wants to come up, but he wants his own dojo with his own students. He wants to teach his martial arts, Jeet Kune Do, okay? But of course, he hasn't got the money. He's working in a restaurant. He needs to enter the Tekken tournament to win some money so he can start his own dojo. You know, the same story, entering a tournament to win money for 90% of fighting game characters. Yep. Enters the tournament, guess what? Didn't win because he's not a Mishima. However, he still got some money because Yoshimitsu robbed Ganryu and threw the money out to the people. Law picked it up, started his dojo. Tekken 2, he now has his dojo and it's successful. But someone is washing his students. I wonder who that could be. Enters the tournament to find out. Turns out it was Baekdu-san. They get into a fight, and by the way, the theme in the background was freaking fire. The middle boss theme elevated this damn fight. I never forgot this fight. And guess what? Law washed him. Probably the biggest win of this man's career. And we didn't know at the time. Because after that, done jack shit. So he defeats Beck and avenges his students. Well done, Law. Let's give a clap for Law. That's probably the only time you're gonna give a clap for this man after that. Tekken 3, Law was concentrating on his new restaurant, Martial China. Forest Law actually entered the tournament and was now hanging out with Paul. So Martial Law took a break. However, Tekken 4 arrived and Law fans would be horrified to find out what happened. The burial started here. Brace yourselves.
Martial Law was a successful businessman. He managed a newly established dojo and owned a successful nationwide Chinese fast food chain called Martial China. Unfortunately, he lost a franchise war against a competing restaurant chain and had to declare bankruptcy a year later. Unable to cope with failure, Marshall fell into depression and spent his days at home on his couch in a drunken haze. Then one day, a notice for the tournament arrived at his doorstep. Marshall's eyes flashed with renewed vigor. After a month of intense training, he beat himself back into top physical form. This is it, he said to himself. It's all or nothing. The fire within him raged hotter than ever before.
It really is all or nothing. You've now just called Bruce Lee a drunk and a bum who sits at home on his couch. In order for this to work, he now needs to be successful. Otherwise, you've called him a bum and he remains a bum. Right? Let's see this ending. Come on, Law, you can do it, right?
Man, the food here sucks.
We have to pay for this?
What did you just say?
You heard me. I said this food sucks. You expect us to eat this stuff?
What do you mean it sucks?
This pepper beef is too damn spicy.
Wow. Terrible customer service, my guy.
What are you talking about? This is good.
Well, to be honest, it was his fault. He attacked them first. Sweet chin music. Then they couldn't be bothered to animate the rest of the fight, so we saw nothing. Oh, and yeah, his restaurant got put out of business. His ending ended in a failure. Great job, guys. Tekken 5 arrives and we're greeted to this.
Martial Law, the fighting chef. After his restaurant failed, Law tried to revive his career in the previous tournament.
And then what?
He failed at that, too.
Oh, man.
Law, now penniless, stayed in Japan to work as a dishwasher.
Bruh. Come on.
Law, now penniless, stayed in Japan to work as a dishwasher.
Oh, my God.
A month later, his wife called him. Their runaway son was in an accident, riding around on Paul Phoenix's bike. Faced with his son's mountain of medical bills, Law prepares to enter the King of Iron Fist Tournament 5.
Who's writing this guy's stories, man? And do you think he was successful? Do you think he had a good ending? Do you think he's not broke?
Broke again. Here. Come on, man. Pay the bill already.
Round one, fight.
Wow. I give that ending a 1 out of 10. These guys aren't even trying anymore. That was garbage. Tekken 6, another garbage, unfunny ending. And of course it didn't happen because they never won the tournament. So even this shitty ending weren't canon. Because in Tekken 7, Law was still broke. And now that he's broke, he wants to find a new teacher for his students. Went out to find one, bumped into Feng. He's even got Paul there to back him up. Will he finally get a good ending after 2 decades? Let's go.
Leiber.
So Paul done most of the work in Law's ending. couldn't let the man win in his own freaking ending. You couldn't let the man win in a 2-on-1 fight in his own ending. This wasn't Feng's ending. It was his Lord's ending. Not only did he not win, you made him look like a bitch and a coward. In fact, Lord did better in Feng's ending than he did in his own. So what are you telling me now? Bruce Lee and supposedly Chuck freaking Norris are cowards? Wow. And this is how you know these guys haven't got a clue what's going on in their own lore with certain characters, who's strong, who needs victories. They can't book for shit. Feng is already established as a powerhouse. Who do you think needed this victory more? Feng Wei or Paul and Law, who have been written like dog shit for the last 2 decades? Huh? Even if you didn't want Feng to lose, end the fight in a freaking draw. Have them shake hands and go back with Paul and Law. Easy fix for Law for his own ending. I could think that up in 2 seconds, man. Instead, you had the guys run off and look stupid. And wasn't the whole purpose to go find a powerful grandmaster and bring him back to the dojo? They faced him, got washed, and ran off. Did you actually forget the story you were trying to tell? Oh. You know, a while back, there was a rumor going around that the Bruce Lee family weren't happy with how certain characters were portraying Bruce Lee. I think y'all remember this, right? And you know, people were shitting themselves, oh, they're gonna remove Liu Kang, they're gonna remove Fei Long or whatnot. And everyone's all worried, and I'm thinking to myself, even if that rumor were true, which it wasn't, that wouldn't affect Liu Kang, because he's portrayed as one of the strongest characters in Mortal Kombat. Fei Long, who is not like a top-tier Street Fighter character, but he isn't displayed as a joke. Hell, Jan Lee from Dead or Alive has won Dead or Alive tournaments that wouldn't have applied to him either. You want to know what character that would have applied to? Martial Law. This is a character who is making a joke of Bruce Lee. This isn't a tribute, this is a mockery. Come on, man, you have portrayed this man as a coward, a failure, a drunk. You said he was sitting around on his freaking couch. Now a coward running from fights. The only thing this guy's washing is the dishes, according to you. Can't place well in a freaking martial art tournament, Bruce Lee. Didn't Lily wash Forest Law? Are you kidding me? Bruce Lee's son, aka Brandon Lee, getting washed by freaking Lily. Are you serious? And this is your tribute to Bruce Lee. This is you paying homage to Bruce Lee. You could have fooled me. We have now seen him in Tekken 8. He looks ripped. His rage art looks way better. But my God, what are you going to do with his story? What are you going to do to this character? Whoever has been writing Law's story, I'm gonna be honest, you suck at comedy and you suck ass as a writer. I am sorry, I'm just being honest. The only saving grace here is it can't get any worse. Or can it? R.I.P. Martial Law's credibility. They done my boy. They done the character I got into Tekken with dirty.